just want to interrupt this amazing podcast with a brief message about one of our sponsors, Lombardi Chiropractic in Oneida, New York. I found Dr. Pete 8 years ago due to my continual discomfort and pain in my back, and as an active athlete and someone who likes to play hard, my sessions in the gym started to regress. My sleep went downhill. After a comprehensive evaluation by Dr. Pete's team, I was given a detailed treatment plan. After 3 months of care, my body felt amazing. I have used Dr. Pete as my personal chiropractor for the last 8 years and attribute much of my physical abilities and overall health to his approach with chiropractic care. The good news is Lombardi Chiropractic is offering a 50% discount on the initial exam and x-rays to all new members that use the coupon code A is A. So stop trying to self-diagnose and save yourself time and money by visiting lombardichiropractic.com and schedule your initial consultation today.
All right. Well, welcome guys to the A is A podcast. Today we have Andy Sipley and myself, Ricky McDonough, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about eggs today. So with that, Andy, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, sure. Let's begin. And this should be a good one because, there's a lot of, there has been over the last few years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, a lot of debate over whether eggs are good for you or bad for you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's turning around. I think people are starting to get the right picture, which we're going to talk about. But I think there are still some people that are kind of concerned about eggs and whether they should eat them or avoid them or whatever. So we figured let's try to clear it up on this episode, right?
Yeah, it always seems like it pops up in the news, every couple years, something comes out and says, all eggs are bad for you, or all eggs are the best thing for you. So
yeah, exactly. So that can be pretty confusing. So we'll try to clear up some of that confusion here. And I figured the way that I would start this was just by saying right off the bat that in my opinion, and I'm pretty certain of this, eggs are incredibly good for you. They're a very healthy food. You agree with that? Disagree? What's your stance there? Do you eat eggs?
I do. I normally do eat eggs. I would normally either have like 5 egg whites or I would have 3 whole eggs, just depending on if I'm cutting or bulking and what I'm trying to use the eggs for. Obviously, a lot of the good, nutritional value comes from the yolk, but if you want to cut, it has a lot of fat too. So
sure, yeah. How often do you eat them? Like, how many eggs a week would you say you eat?
I mean, right now, actually, I eat 0 because I started a raw vegan diet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 30-day challenge, and I'm just trying to see what happens. But I say once that's over, I'll probably go back to 3 eggs a day, which would be about 21 a week.
Yeah, that's actually, I was trying to estimate mine, and I thought I eat anywhere from 20 to 24 a week. Probably about 20. I'd say like 12.5 to maybe up to a dozen a week, but that's on a high week. But yeah, 20 eggs a week. Okay, so about the same place as you. And yeah, let's jump right in. I was going to say right off the bat that I think, I always get annoyed with the term superfood that's thrown around in marketing a lot. But if there are some things that I would put in that category or call a superfood myself, eggs might be one of those things. They are one of the most nutritious foods on the planet. And there's actually good reason for that. One way I like to think about that is an egg that's supposed to grow into an entire organism. That's a baby chicken, right? So an egg contains literally everything that an organism needs to grow and develop, to the point where it comes out of its shell and it can actually start finding its own food. So that's kind of a cool way to think about how, nutritionally packed an egg is and how it, and the reason why it would have everything that a living organism would need to grow and thrive. Maybe one thing I'll do first is just get the quote unquote boring stuff out of the way. I just want to run through like what nutrients are found in eggs really quickly before we start talking about some of them in detail or whatever. But so the typical egg contains about 70 calories. So if you have like, a 5 egg omelet, then what is that? 350 calories, right? So you got 6 grams of protein. And again, if you have, 5 eggs, you got 30 grams. It's a nice big high protein meal. One of the cool things about the protein in eggs, and we could talk about this later, but it's very complete. It's got all the essential amino acids you need. Like we said, everything that an organism needs to grow, including a lot of leucine, which is the most important amino acid for muscle growth, for stimulating muscle growth. So for people who are weight training and want to get stronger, build muscle, whatever, eggs are fantastic for that. There's about 0.5 gram of leucine in every egg. And they usually say if you can get about 2 grams of leucine at a time, that's fantastic for after a workout or whenever you're trying to stimulate muscle growth. So that'd be 4 eggs. It's also got quarter of a gram of glycine in it, which is the amino acid that's the reason we take collagen protein, is to get that glycine content up. So it's kind of cool. I didn't even know this until I researched it, but the eggs are a high quality source of glycine. So I like that I'm getting a little more of that because we don't get much of it in our diet. Fat, 5 grams of fat, 1.5 grams of saturated fat, 2 grams of monounsaturated fat. So very healthy fats. And it's obviously no carbs or very negligible carbs, almost nothing. And then as far as the nutrients, we've got a lot of vitamins. There's choline, which is kind of related to the B vitamin group, vitamin A, lots of riboflavin, that's vitamin B2, lots of pantothenic acid, that's vitamin B5, good for hair, skin, and nails, that kind of thing. Lots of B6, B12, vitamin D. Eggs are actually one of the few food sources of vitamin D, because usually we need to go out into the sun to stimulate our own production, but there are some food sources, and eggs are a good food source of that. And then a ton of minerals, loaded with selenium, which is really cool. And that's actually protective against cancer. One study showed that it was protective against prostate cancer. And calcium, iron, zinc, copper, magnesium, potassium, a lot of the essential minerals that we need to grow and thrive. And then, of course, cholesterol. That's the other thing that's in there that people talk about a lot, about 200 milligrams per egg. So that's sort of the nutrient breakdown. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. That sounds pretty complete to you, right?
I mean, did you talk about there's like 2 antioxidants in there as well, right? Did you look into that?
Well, there's a few, because some of those things I listed are actually antioxidants, but you might be talking about like zeaxanthin, lutein, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Yep, that's what I was thinking about.
Well, in that case, that is a great transition, because after we talked about that, I wanted to just get into some of the health benefits associated with eating eggs regularly. So yeah, take it away. What's one of the first ones, maybe related to those antioxidants?
Eggs are very rich in those 2 antioxidants that you mentioned, and they protect against, I think, cataracts and some other eye issues.
Macular degeneration.
Macular degeneration, that's correct.
Yeah, like you said, those are lutein and zeaxanthin are really potent antioxidants, and they accumulate in the retinas of the eyes. And when they're in the retina there, and there's a high level of them, they protect against sunlight, which can kind of degrade your retina over time. And also a really cool thing, you know how those blue light blocking glasses have become really popular? You know, you can wear blue light blockers to protect your eyes from the light that comes from TV screens and computer monitors and so forth. Those 2 antioxidants you brought up act as natural blue light blockers as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that was really cool. That's a few of the ways they protect your eyes, and like you said, they drastically reduce cataract risk and macular degeneration risk. So yeah, okay, eggs, awesome for eyesight. What else you got? More benefits.
Well,
and I've got a whole list too when you run out.
I just wanted to take a quick break from this episode to tell you about one of my all-time favorite supplements, Collagen Protein. I've been taking collagen for over 15 years, and I consider it a staple in my daily health routine. Collagen is the primary building block of connective tissues, such as hair, skin, and nails, as well as ligaments, tendons, cartilage, and bone. If we don't get enough collagen, then these tissues age prematurely, leading to wrinkled skin, thinning hair, and painful joints. That's why I take collagen every day. It keeps my hair, skin, and nails healthy, and my joints strong and pain-free. The brand I use is NativePath. I choose NativePath because their collagen is the highest quality available. It's organic, it comes from grass-fed cows, it includes both type 1 and type 2 collagen peptides, and it's hydrolyzed, which is critical for better absorption. NativePath even makes collagen coffee creamers. I personally use the vanilla creamer, and it's absolutely delicious. I highly recommend adding collagen to your health routine. If you're interested, go to nativepath.com and use the coupon code AISA15 to get a 15% discount on your order.
All right, so another great, benefit of eggs is choline.
Yeah, fantastic source of choline. Yep.
Yeah, and one of the main reasons it's so good is because it's actually used to synthesize neurotransmitters in the brain.
Yeah, specifically acetylcholine, which is critical for like muscle contraction. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on so yeah, it's choline's also it's a component of cell membranes. So it's really important there. And I've said before on the podcast that protecting cell membrane health is something that's pretty important to me.
Yeah.
It's
it also Yeah, doesn't it also kind of reduce like, liver disease and heart disease as well?
Yeah, yeah. A few things that it's protective for. Cardiovascular health, for one thing. It protects the liver. It's very protective there, which is really important because the liver is kind of where a lot of chronic diseases start. So if you can keep your liver healthy, then you can tend to keep the rest of your body and your other organs healthy over time. It's also protective against Alzheimer's disease. There's been studies that show it reduces your risk of, dementias and Alzheimer's specifically. Choline's really important in pregnancy because it prevents neural tube defects. So when that happens, you know how they tell pregnant women to make sure they get enough folate, because folate is one of the things that's really important for preventing neural tube defects. Choline is also. And those defects lead to things like spina bifida, that's the big one, or myelomeningocele. So you don't want that kind of thing happening to your baby. So it's really important for pregnant women to get their adequate choline. Like the takeaway here, aside from just the benefits of choline, is one study showed that 90% of Americans are deficient in choline. And unfortunately, it didn't say how deficient. I would have liked to have seen are we getting half of what we need or a quarter or whatever? But the important thing there is 9 out of 10 Americans are not getting enough choline in their diet, and it has all those benefits. The reason for that is we don't get choline from many things. Like the only other good source of choline is liver. And liver is a superfood, but not many people eat it. I don't eat it.
I mean, I would say out of the two choices between eggs and liver, if those are my two choices to get choline, I think I know what I'm choosing.
Right on. So eat your eggs, get your choline. That was a really good one there. I'll go next. It's also a super high quality protein. We've talked before on the podcast about how getting adequate protein is really important. Most people are deficient in that. I'd be shooting for anywhere from like 80 grams up to maybe over 100 a day for most people. But the great thing about eggs is the quality of the protein. So the quality of a protein source is determined by its relative amount of essential amino acids. And a protein that contains all of your essential amino acids in the right ratios is considered high quality. And they give it a score. Nutrition scientists give proteins a score. They call it the biological value of a protein. It's a score of 0 to 100. And eggs are one of the few sources of protein where the protein in eggs gets a score of 100. It's that complete. So that's kind of a cool thing. If you're looking for high quality protein source, you can't really beat an egg.
Or you could actually.
Yeah, nice. That took me a second. Another good one, eggs are good for weight loss. And that's because, of the protein that we just talked about and the fat. They're a high protein, high fat food, which are the two most satiating macronutrients. So they kind of help, if you have a higher protein and higher fat diet, then you're going to tend to feel more full over time and eat less food. So eggs are one of the foods that fit into that category. I don't know. Did you see any studies on the weight loss benefits of eggs?
Yeah, actually I did. I think it was an 8-week study that they did where the 2 participants had a breakfast that consisted either of 2 eggs or had a bagel.
Yeah. Yep.
But the calories were kept the exact same.
Yes, it was isocaloric. Yeah, which is really important.
And the results over the 8-week period, it was crazy. I mean, it was 61% greater reduction in BMI, 65% more weight loss, 34% greater reduction in waist circumference, and a 16% greater reduction in body fat.
Yeah, and that was in the egg group versus the group that was eating bagels. So they were both eating the same calories for breakfast. I don't know how many eggs or bagels they ate, but let's say they were eating, a 400 calorie breakfast. The egg group had all those benefits, like you're talking about, 61% less body fat over 8 weeks. Versus the bagel group. There's another study that basically did the exact same thing, and this one was with overweight or obese women, and they did the same thing with the eggs and versus bagels for breakfast. And the egg group felt fuller and ate fewer calories for the next 36 hours after breakfast. just again, speaking to the satiating properties of eggs. So yeah, so there you go. I mean, another great thing, I'll add another benefit here. Eggs protect against insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, and diabetes. I found a couple studies on this. One study showed that eating 3 whole eggs per day reduced insulin resistance, raised HDL, that's your good cholesterol, and increased the size of LDL particles in people with metabolic syndrome. All of those things are fantastic for preventing diabetes and turning around metabolic syndrome. And then another study found that men who ate 4 eggs per week had a 37% lower risk of type 2 diabetes as compared to men who eat either 0 or 1 egg per week. So that's kind of cool. I actually hadn't seen any studies regarding eggs and metabolic syndrome or diabetes, but it's nice to see that's been studied and there's a protective effect there as well.
Yeah. I mean, I did find one study that kind of went against eggs. I know obviously we believe eggs are good and healthy for a large number of Americans or anybody in the world for that matter. But there was one where it said that some studies did show that there was an increased risk of heart disease in people with diabetes.
People with diabetes, huh?
Yeah. So if some people did have diabetes, it could increase the risk of heart disease.
Yeah, and I wonder what in eggs would have caused that in that group. But in any case, this just speaks to the fact that there's no one perfect diet for everybody or one perfect food. So there's always going to be people out there who, no matter how great a certain food is, I mean, I talk about, for example, fish as being a very nutritious food, but there's people with fish allergies. And so on. So there's always going to be some people that it's not quite right for, and you always have to do your own experimentation and find out. Overall, the vast majority of research shows most people do better and it protects against all these things we talked about, but there are exceptions, and that's really important to point
We want to
out.
thank Suttmeier Law Firm for being a podcast show sponsor. Suttmeier Law Firm has worked with numerous clients within our community for years, and they couldn't come more highly recommended. They offer legal advice and representation for a range of residential and commercial real estate law issues. Are you buying a house, refinancing, having mortgage problems, or contract disputes? The team at Suttmeier Law Firm can guide you through these processes. As a special offer to our listeners, they are offering a free consultation when you mention the A is A Health Podcast. Visit their website at suttmeierlaw.com or call 315-363-7777 today.